day, televiewers! Welcome to the third episode of Tele-turuan for Quarter 2 of English 10. My name is Ms. Ana Cristal Cuevas from Honorato C. Perez Sr. Memorial Science High School, your teacher presenter for today. This is a continuation of our lesson from the previous episode about the structure of an exposition in an argumentative text. For this lesson, we are going to focus on the language features of an argumentative text. Let us have a quick review of our previous discussion. What is an exposition or an argumentative text? That's right. An exposition persuades a reader or listener by presenting one side of the issue or conflict. It tries to change the reader's mind by convincing the reader to agree with the writer's point of view. Do you remember the structure of an exposition or an argumentative text? Great! An exposition is composed of the SAR, statement of position, arguments, and the reinforcement of the statement of position. Since the goal of an exposition or argumentative text is to convince others to believe in your stand, you have to make sure that the contents of your article is engaging, interesting, convincing, and easy to follow and to understand. You can do this by using the following language features. First is the use of simple present tense. This gives a more up-to-date feel to your writing. For example, as the Earth's atmosphere heats up, it collects, retains, and drops more water, changing weather patterns and making wet areas wetter and dry areas drier. The use of simple present tense in that example implies that something is occurring, but not necessarily now. It also gives a sense of urgency for the issue. Generally, the text is written in the present tense in argumentative texts, but may change also to past tense for recounted events or historical evidence. It may also be written in the future tense if predictions are being made. The second language feature is conjunction, or the connectives, so that we can achieve cohesion and coherence in our texts. Conjunctions are words that link other words, phrases, or clauses together. They also link the flow of the argument in our article. Conjunctions can be used, 1, to connect words to show reasons or choices. For example, smoking in restaurants is just not on. It must not be allowed because it is rude, harmful to others, and dangerous to the smoker. In this sentence, the conjunction because is used to show reason in this argument. Other conjunctions you may use for this purpose are however, similarly, mainly, therefore, so, because, the first reason, among others. Another purpose of conjunction. Conjunctions can also be used to connect words to link other arguments. When you construct an exposition, you need words to link your points together so that your argument is logical and fluent. Here are some examples of words for adding or giving another argument. We can use additionally, also, besides, firstly, furthermore, in addition, as well, secondly, not only, moreover, likewise, and lastly. The third language feature is the use of passive voice. A passive construction occurs when you make the object of an action into the subject of a sentence. For example, the drone was chased by the eagle. The eagle was the doer of the action in that statement, but because the object drone needs to be emphasized, a passive voice is used. The passive voice is used to show interest in the person or object that experiences an action rather than the person or object that performs that action. In most argumentative essays, where the doer of the action is not that important, or it isn't known, the beginning focus of clauses is changed from active to passive. For example, people overfish the oceans. To shift the focus from the people to the environment, we should instead write, oceans are overfished. Another example, insulin was first discovered in 1921 by researchers at the University of Toronto. It is still the only treatment available for diabetes. Since in that statement, insulin is the most important detail, passive voice is used to highlight it. The fourth language feature for argumentative text is the use of modalities. You know this as the modal verbs. A modal is a type of helping verb that is used to express ability, possibility, permission, or obligation. Modal verbs, in the context of an argumentative essay, express the writer's attitude to the topic. Appropriate use of modals gives convincing, sincere, and genuine tone. This actually depends on whether the writer wants to feel authoritative, indefinite, or maybe the writer wants to be open for discussion. Here are some examples of modalities that we can use. These are also the verb inflections that express how the action or state is conceived by the author. We can use will, may, must, usually, typically, frequently, as a rule, always, never, obviously, regularly, habitually, generally, commonly, should, maybe, rarely, probably, almost certainly, doubtless, and characteristically. For example, let's use that in a sentence. Extreme weather events such as severe storms and flooding can lead to injury and drinking water contamination. In this example, the author is sure or certain about the effects of extreme weather events. Number 5 is the use of adverbs. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb, or even a whole sentence. In exposition and argumentative essays, use adverbs that show time, sequence, and link the arguments. For instance, you may use firsts, nexts, previously, and finally for sequence and for cohesion. For example, let's use that in a sentence. First, we need to find the real problem. Then, we can devise a plan to solve it. The rest of the language features will be discussed after a few reminders.